life transforms, it often feels like everything is crumbling. What once felt safe begins to dissolve. Familiar roles feel foreign. Dreams that used to stir your soul now fall flat. The people who once understood you, they begin to drift, or worse, no longer recognize you at all. And underneath it all, a strange pull begins to rise. A whisper you can't quite name. You feel lost, but not broken. Disoriented, yet closer to something real. It's as if something bigger is working beneath the surface, rearranging your life, but refusing to explain why. That's the thing about thresholds. They never arrive with clarity. They arrive disguised as discomfort, endings, silence. And if you're standing on one now, you might think you're being punished. But what if you're being prepared? What if the chaos is not the destruction of your path, but the cleansing of it? A caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly by trying harder. It dissolves. It lets go of everything it thought it was. The universe doesn't test us through logic. It tests us through mystery. So in this video, we're going to explore those mysteries, the invisible initiations, the soul-level trials that life gives you right before everything shifts. And by the end, you'll see why what feels like falling apart might be the very sign that you're falling together. Carl Jung never saw suffering as meaningless. To him, it was the threshold, the point where the ego fractures just enough for the soul to speak. He believed that the unconscious isn't just a reservoir of repressed memories, but a living, breathing intelligence that's always seeking wholeness. And when we're on the cusp of change, this unconscious doesn't whisper through logic or reason. It speaks through symbol, through dreams, through disruption. These so-called tests from the universe are actually psychic thresholds. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and false identity. When life removes the things that once defined you, it's not random, it's symbolic. Your relationships end, your plans fall apart, your energy collapses. These are not punishments, they are sacred initiations. The unconscious is preparing you, not to return to the old, but to awaken to the real. In Jung's words, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But becoming requires burning, shedding, being brought to your knees. So if your life feels like a mess right now, don't just ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask instead, "What is this preparing me for?" Because before the universe changes your reality, it asks if you're truly ready to live it. And so, we begin. The first way the universe tests you before changing your reality is through what can only be called the death of identity. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or fanfare. It arrives quietly, like the slow unraveling of a thread you didn't know was holding you together. You wake up one day, and the things that used to excite you feel empty. The roles you once played feel like costumes. You walk through your life like a ghost in your own story. This is not failure. This is the beginning. Jung called it the collapse of the persona, the social mask we wear to survive, to be accepted, to belong. And when that mask no longer fits, the unconscious begins to pull at the seams. Suddenly, you feel lost, unmotivated, in between. It's not that everything is falling apart. It's that the version of you who was holding it all together is dissolving. The universe will often strip away the things you once clung to, titles, dreams, identities, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because you cannot step into a new reality while dragging the weight of a false self. Like a snake shedding its skin, this process isn't painless. The ego will scream, "But who am I without this job, this relationship, this image?" And yet, that discomfort is sacred. It's not the end of you. It's the end of who you thought you had to be in order to be loved. The truth is, the old you was built for safety, not for authenticity. And the universe, wise in its timing, knows when it's time to dismantle what no longer serves your soul's unfolding. This is the test. Can you grieve the version of yourself you've outgrown? Can you allow the silence between what was and what will be? Most people try to go back, to force the mask back on. But if you stay with the unraveling, if you breathe into the not knowing, you begin to realize something deeper, that the pain of not knowing who you are is not a curse. It's an invitation to become who you were always meant to be. After the death of who you were, another trial quietly arrives. This one feels cruel at first, like betrayal from life itself. You reach out, desperate for comfort, for a friend to answer the phone, a mentor to guide you, a solution to appear, and all you get is silence. It's not that no one cares, it's that no one shows up in the way they used to. The hand you expected to catch you doesn't come, and so you fall. But here's the hidden truth. You're not falling. You're being taught to fly. Jung understood this as the test of psychic sovereignty. The child within us still longs for rescue, for someone older, wiser, stronger to make it all okay. But the soul knows no one is coming. Not because you're abandoned, but because this part of the journey must be walked alone. This is the confrontation with your inner mother and father archetypes, the energies you once externalized. Perhaps you always ran to someone else to fix it. Perhaps your identity was built around being needed, chosen, saved. But now, the universe removes the scaffolding. Friends fade, teachers go silent. The old support systems you clung to begin to disintegrate. It feels like punishment, but it is purification. This is the moment when the victim within you cries out, and the adult, the soul, must rise to answer. The shadow temptation here is collapse, to beg, to chase, to shrink, to make yourself small enough to be rescued again. But the deeper calling is this. Will you become the one you always needed? Can you soothe the child within you without outsourcing your safety? Because true transformation isn't about being saved. It's about remembering your own sacred power. The moment you stop searching for rescue is the moment you begin to remember that you were never truly powerless. You were just waiting for your own arrival. So if you feel alone right now, uncared for, unsupported, know this: the universe hasn't abandoned you. It's initiating you into your own strength, into the self-leadership your next chapter requires. This test is not punishment, it's passage, and the one you've been waiting for is already within you. And now comes the quietest test of all, the test of stillness and silence. You've begun to awaken. You've let go of who you were. You've stopped seeking rescue. And then you listen. You look for signs, for a whisper, a dream, a divine breadcrumb to lead you forward. But nothing comes. No synchronicities, no breakthroughs, no answers, just silence. It feels like abandonment, like the universe has gone dark and the path has disappeared beneath your feet. You cry out, but the echo is empty. You meditate, but your mind just wanders. You ask for clarity, and all you get is stillness. But what if that stillness isn't absence, but initiation? Carl Jung believed that the unconscious doesn't always speak in symbols and dreams. Sometimes it withdraws entirely, not to punish you, but to teach you something the noise never could: inner anchoring. Because the soul doesn't bloom under constant surveillance. It roots in silence. This is the test of trust. the part of the path where no one affirms you, nothing confirms you, and the next step isn't shown. It must be chosen. The shadow reaction is panic. You want to force a sign, chase a high, interpret the silence as rejection, failure, or punishment. But that's the old self reaching. Stillness is not rejection. It's sacred preparation. In the quiet, the old attachments lose their grip. The mind grows still, and the deeper voice, the one beneath your fear, begins to rise. It says, "Can you walk without proof? Can you keep going, not because you're sure, but because you're called?" This silence is not emptiness, it's recalibration. The universe is still listening. It's just speaking in a different language now, the language of trust. And trust doesn't mean certainty. It means presence. It means staying with yourself when the world goes quiet. So if you're in the dark, don't chase the light. Sit in the stillness. Let your roots deepen. Because sometimes the most sacred growth happens in silence. And sometimes the universe says nothing, because you're finally meant to listen to yourself. And just when you think you're ready, just when the path begins to rise to meet you, comes the final test. The test of temptation to shrink. Picture it. You are a flower blooming at last. Petals open, roots deepening, color vibrant. But then the voices arrive. You've changed. You're too much now. You've outgrown us. The light you've claimed makes others squint. And suddenly, you wonder if you've gone too far, if maybe it was safer before. This test doesn't come in thunder or fire. It comes in the familiar. An ex who says all the right things. An old job that offers security. A friend who subtly mocks your growth. A family member who reminds you of your place. Jung saw this as the return of projections, the shadow and anima or animus rising again, asking if you will betray yourself to be loved, liked, accepted. The danger now isn't failure, it's contraction. The temptation to dim your light so others don't feel too small, to trade your expansion for approval. But remember, this is not a warning, it's a test. The universe is whispering, do you really want the life you say you want? And your answer cannot just be words, it must be your embodiment, your boundaries, your decisions, your silence in the face of mockery, your dignity in the face of manipulation. You are not here to fit back into the mold you shattered. You are here to outgrow it, beautifully, unapologetically, entirely. The shadow will say, if you rise, you'll be alone. But the soul says, if you don't rise, you'll be divided from yourself. This is the final threshold, not because it's the hardest, but because it's the most sacred. The world will stop clapping. The crowd may walk away, but you, your truth, your becoming, must remain. If you can hold that, the next chapter doesn't just begin, it blooms, and it does so in your full light. No shrinking, no apologizing, no going back. Only forward, only deeper, only truer. You passed through the fire, the silence, the ache to shrink. You stayed, you listened, you chose truth over comfort. And now, what remains is this: integration, embodiment, the quiet work of becoming. So take a breath, place your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat, steady, sacred, unshaken. Say softly, I trust what's leaving. I honor what's arriving. I am not being tested to break, I am being tested to bloom. And now, write this. Which test am I currently facing? What illusion is being stripped from me? What version of me is being asked to rise? Tonight, light a candle, not for answers, but for courage, because becoming will always require it. You are not the same person who began this journey. You're softer, sharper, truer. The universe doesn't change your life through comfort. It changes your life through confrontation. It strips, silences, unsettles. Not because it's cruel, but because it's precise. Every test is a mirror. Every ending is a clearing. Every delay is a doorway. So if it feels like you're being tested, maybe it's because your next chapter is bigger than you imagined. And maybe, just maybe, you're finally ready to live it. This is Echoes of Psyche, where the soul speaks in symbols and the universe tests you